Hi, I'm Edwin Samuelson, and welcome to the Cinefiles. Today, we're going to be discussing I guess this is a movie we've been wanting to discuss for a while. Michael just saw it. It's Grindhouse by Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino. But before I begin, let me introduce my panel. To my left, Eric Cohen. To his left, Jeff Galashaw. And to his left, Michael Foltz. All right, as you know...
Oh, that's Jeff Galashaw. I'm white.
As I was mentioning, long wind sigh. All right. Grindhouse, a film long in development. As you know, Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez were fans of the Grindhouse genre and era, which was in the 70s on 42nd Street. Many films would be paired together as a double feature. In between, we've shown trailers and for many unique features. Most of these were exploitation films, which were low budget and offered mostly action and sex.
Violence,
horror, everything. There was a great
pulp
mixture.
Elements all around.
This is the film I was really looking forward to, and I'm looking forward to discussing with you guys because as you guys have different genres that you love, horror and exploitation is probably my favorite next to Italian horror. Yeah, hey, I'm the horror and exploitation guy. I will. You can put that on my tombstone. But let's start off with Grindhouse. There's two films. One is by Tarantino, one is by Rodriguez, and in between is some trailers by some of the, I guess you could say, they're not so much horror, but let's just say genre directors today, such as
hot directors.
Edgar Wright,
Eli Roth,
Rob Zombie, and even Rodriguez did one trailer himself, which actually opens the film. So let's actually discuss that one. The trailer is for the phony feature, which is
Machete.
Which actually I think is a very funny trailer, that actually looked like it could have potential to be a real movie.
I thought it was hilarious, and I think Rodriguez did a wonderful job nailing down this trailer for the really pulpy elements of Machete. I mean, you got the whole dramatic pause with Jeff Fahey coming in to hire him as a day laborer, and he's giving day labor rates. He's like, "Have you ever killed anyone?" And then Jeff Fahey, who wants him to kill a senator, and then you see Jeff Fahey getting on the phone, "Where's my wife and daughter?" And the next thing you know, Danny Trejo, who plays Machete, is making out with these two beautiful topless women. And I think it's great because you end the trailer with, "You fucked with the wrong Mexican." And I think that's great.
I think that was a great way to kick off the movie. I mean, after that, I was like, wow, this could be really good. And actually, it's one of the better trailers in the bunch. But unfortunately, when it kicks into the film, the first film is, I believe, Planet Blood. Is that correct?
Planet Terror.
Planet Terror.
Wait, do you guys have anything to say about Machete?
I liked the trailer.
I'm sorry.
It wasn't my favorite one, and I'll be honest with you. As much as it looked like it could be a real movie, I didn't find myself wanting to see that movie. That was the only thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not a big Danny Trejo fan?
No, it's not that. It's
you don't like Mexicans. That's right. That was another
That's what
episode.
it is. I can't stand.
I think
Mexican
Danny Trejo
food.
needs his own feature. Actually, I love seeing.
No, I like Danny Trejo, and I don't know why. I have to see it again. Maybe I'll have a better.
And the reason I thought that was very enjoyable because Danny Trejo really is the badass that he portrays because the man spent half his life in prison, and I think that added a little bit to the trailer.
Yeah, but he's into knitting.
He is. Well, hey, if it works and rehabilitates you, I'm all for it.
He's in all the Spy Kids films, too.
At least Rob Rodriguez uses him and Cheech Marin a lot.
Yeah, even Cheech Marin is funny in that as the priest
trailer.
with the double shotguns. And he's like, "I'm a man of God, and you want me to kill?" And Trejo's like, yeah, dude. I mean, Padre. And he's like, "I'll see what I can do." It's just ridiculous.
Well, that was probably the best work I think Rodriguez did in the film. Unfortunately, I was not too keen on his film, which is the one that immediately follows the trailer, which is, again, Planet Terror, which is I guess you'd say it's a homage, kind of a little bit to Mario Bava's Planet of Vampires, I think.
It's a homage to a lot of things.
Yeah, there's a lot of little homages in there.
There's a bit of George Romero. There's
It's a hodgepodge of greatest hits of, I guess you say, the Grindhouse era for that one. And there's some sci-fi elements added in as well as some war stuff. I was not too keen on this one. I thought, I will say this though, of the two features, I thought that the thing Rodriguez did very well is I love the way he added all the scratches and the emulsion and the cigarette burns. I thought he did a much better job than Tarantino did. Unfortunately, this to me was not a type of Grindhouse film that you would see in the 70s, and that was the whole essence of what they were trying to achieve.
Well, I mean, I thought I was very entertained by Planet Terror. I thought it was fun. My only problem with Planet Terror is it's the same criticism I have for Rodriguez's films in general. It's like someone needs to hold him back. He shouldn't be editing, directing, producing everything and writing everything he does.
He
Because
did
it's like,
co-write this, to be fair to him.
well,
He did
okay,
co-write it,
but
yeah.
I'm sure it had mostly his influence and whatever was up there. The problem is, it's just he throws everything up there but the kitchen sink, and everything is hyperbolic to the 11th degree. Too many scratches in the emulsion, too many of this, too many of that. It would have been a lot better if somehow he just held himself back. Now, there were some great things in it. Like, I love Josh Brolin in this, to the extent where I wish he turned out to be the hero somehow. I was like hoping that this guy won't turn out to be I know he's a bad guy, but I thought he was the most interesting character in the whole film. And I liked how Jeff Fahey, was in it, and we were talking about this before, but, there's some good things in it. I just that, for me, Rodriguez is a little too on the nose with his stuff.
I do agree with you because, like you said, especially with the emulsion scratches and stuff, like I said, I thought he did a better job than Tarantino, but you're right. It was way too much. But it's still done better than the Tarantino segment. And everything, after I watched the movie, I'm just like, what just happened? I don't even remember it because it's...
His is more of a goof on the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I saw, you brought Mara Bava up. The one other thing I liked about it is that somehow he captured that sort of 70s Euro horror look. It almost had
it almost had like a purpleness to the film.
Yeah, and the
smoke.
cinematography was really good in this.
But it did not feel like a Grindhouse film to me. That's what the problem was.
See, I disagree, but
See, I don't agree with that either.
Yeah,
Well,
Jeff.
see, I have a little mini rant when it comes to Rodriguez, because my problem with Rodriguez is that it seems, like you said, he throws everything at the screen, but he always talks about his film so bigly, and he always says
Bigly.
Did you just
I
invent
know,
the word?
I know.
Bigly?
Yes, I
Not
couldn't
bigly.
make. Let me finish my rant, please. But he always talks so big about his films, and then when you go to see it, it's such a letdown and a disappointment. And then, I guess I'm just tired of him. I mean, he would be he's a good exploitation director because I feel like he's a hack. But I will admit he is talented in many ways. But I feel like when it comes to him and Tarantino, it's sort of like Amadeus and Salieri, because I feel like Quentin Tarantino doesn't put as
Amadeus and
much
Salieri.
effort into it, and everybody praises him, whereas Rodriguez, like you said, directs, writes, edits, does the camera work, produces.
And music.
And the music, and he's still not as good, even though he puts his all into it. And it's more like Tarantino gets fame, but he more drags Rodriguez with him. And I feel like the only reason Rodriguez gets as many chances as he does get is because of Tarantino, because I feel like without Tarantino, he'd be making a straight-to-DVD feature.
Well, the thing
I
about,
disagree
I disagree
with
with you on
that.
that. The thing about Rodriguez.
But what kind of fame actually does Tarantino have? Because how many films Tarantino directed? 4, and Rodriguez directed like 20.
Yes, but see, that's what I mean. And he still gets more praise than Rodriguez, who has directed all these films.
The thing about Rodriguez that doesn't bother me is at least he tries and he's a real fan of the genre. I don't get insulted by his films. I mean, I really didn't like this film at all. I bored me to death.
I think Rodriguez is very sincere. I just think that someone needs to control him.
I agree.
My take on Planet Terror is this. I did not expect to like this film. I really didn't, because I read the reviews, I listened to what friends said, and I was really skeptical. But I gotta admit, and I'm a harsh critic of Rodriguez, I really am, because I feel that most of the time his films are written by 13-year-old boys. And sometimes that's really great, and sometimes that's not so great, and usually sometimes it sucks. I think he comes up with wonderful concepts that are never executed upon. I think Sin City is the lone example of going against this, but Frank Miller had a very, very heavy hand in that, and it was based on his story, so I think that was guided, whereas it wasn't Rodriguez's original material. But I think he nailed the Grindhouse aspects wonderfully. It was a lot funnier than I thought. And the gruesomeness was just so over the top that you couldn't help but laugh. I mean, and wonderful little not cameos, but little roles for like Naveen Andrews as the mad scientist. And I mean, just to have Naveen Andrews fall on, like, why is he carrying around a big jar of human testicles just to cut him off? I mean, that just
I
made
just still can't
no
believe you're giving
sense.
this a good. You're actually giving a film that has Bruce Willis in it a good review. I'm
I
shocked.
know. Well, his role was so throwaway.
Oh,
like,
and we got to mention
you know.
Tarantino, how terrible he is in this movie. as
But
an
you know
actor.
something? I'll tell you something. His role in that, I think, and I'm going to put this on record here, I think that the character that he plays in the next film we're going to discuss, Death Proof, is how he wants us to see him as the party guy that runs the show and has all the ladies around him. But I really think the real Quentin Tarantino is who we get to see in Planet Terror, who's basically a sadistic, ugly rapist whose balls are like falling off. I think that's probably the real. So he plays the fake Quentin that we get to see, and the real Quentin in Planet Terror. That's my theory.
Quentin, if you're seeing this, don't sue me.
I was about to
Sue
say,
him.
remember, it's
Sue
only
him.
my
Contact-
fault.
don't
And
come
God,
my way.
God bless Jeff Fahey for the career
Oh,
renaissance.
I got to mention something. That
And
really
Michael
annoyed me.
Biehn. Thank you
Michael
for
Biehn.
putting him in a movie. Michael Biehn. Awesome. Love the guy.
Thanks for giving him a second chance.
A fellow Nebraska native. Oof.
One thing I got to mention, though, I did not like and I thought really distracted is, as the films were both made as two real feature films, unfortunately, they have a thing where something called the missing reel missing. And the story, it suffers because of it. It's like,
Yeah,
what
that
just
joke
happened?
got old
It
fast.
got very old fast, and it's like,
And it was
what just
overused.
happened? And then they expect you to fill in the gaps of what happened, and sometimes it's like, you don't care what happens and you don't understand what happened.
I thought it was a little much to have the people getting up and walking during the show, the movie, where you saw the people, getting up the shadows, getting in front of the projector. I thought that was a little much. I thought the Swedish subtitles at the bottom was a little much.
Well, there's just stuff that, like, I understand what they're trying to do, but it was like, there is such a thing as just
Too much
overkill
imagination
and,
sometimes.
I agree with that.
But I'll say the film was at least entertaining. I didn't dislike it as much as you.
Did not care for it, and this is
Yeah,
the
I
man
was-
coming from Mr. Exploitation here. The reason, I'll tell you, to me, and this is, you guys are going to laugh at me for this, I don't give a shit. There was a movie I saw this year that actually I thought could have been a Grindhouse film. It's terrible, but it was terribly entertaining because it's so over the top and ludicrous that it could have been on 42nd Street in the old days. A movie called Vacancy with Luke Wilson and Kate Beckinsale. It's very entertaining because it's so ludicrous. It's just, you go, what the fuck is this? And actually it has a great role for one of our favorites, Frank Whaley, who's the only one on the joke.
In Planet Terror, we didn't really discuss the leads, Freddie Rodriguez and Rose McGowan.
No, we didn't.
And I got to admit that Freddie Rodriguez was just not that good.
And neither
Not
was
that
Rose
good.
McGowan. I
But
didn't
you know,
Rose
she's
McGowan's
hot. She's like
okay.
eye
She was very
candy,
sexy.
You know, she's.
I mean, the
what's-
machine. There was some towards the end, some of the over-the-top elements. The machine gun on the leg is ridiculous.
It is stupid. That's something you would not see in a Grindhouse
and
movie.
her being
No, I don't
blasted
agree
over
with
the
that.
wall.
I mean, what's your definition of a Grindhouse? Because I actually saw Grindhouse movies in 42nd Street.
So did I. Yeah, I saw some too. I remember.
And I think that there's some very strong. I mean, what I would say is what this has. I mean, where I would kind of like defer to your argument. I was saying that I would say this is more of a homage to something like Evil Dead or like the '80s kind of over the top.
I thought the
Stuart
soundtrack
Gordon,
was great.
Sam
It reminded
Raimi
me,
type of horror
reminded me
film.
of John Carpenter, the music.
Well,
But
on
technically,
Planet Terror.
those could be considered Grindhouse as well.
I just thought it was too big for be a Grindhouse film. I mean, the budget. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a Hollywood movie, so it has to be a big budget movie. But it just was too big to be what it wanted to be. It should have been a lot scaled down more, and it should have told a coherent story without these real changes.
I
and
think
stuff.
as much as he wanted to make his lady love Rose McGowan the hot piece of ass in this film, it was Marley Shelton that he made the hot piece
I was
of
waiting
ass.
for you to mention
And
that.
she
was
is
hot.
hotter than hell as Josh Brolin's lesbian wife, who is having the affair with Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas, who ends up getting her brains tore out.
That was the one scene in the movie I actually cheered because I cannot stand Fergie. I was
She's
so
hot.
happy when
I'm
she
sorry,
died.
guys.
No,
She's
she's
hot.
not.
She's
Go
hot.
back and do some
She's
crystal
hot.
meth, please.
There's like
Disappear.
an alternate reality person here.
The viciousness.
I
on
can't
this
stand
I know
it.
he's
episode.
straight.
If
but
I
this
have
is
to
like,
hear, if I have to hear
you know,
my
reality.
humps, if I have to hear my
She's
humps
hot.
again, I'm gonna pull my brains out.
I would have loved to have the sex scene between Marley Shelton and Fergie. Oh,
Between Quentin
Holy
Tarantino, the
my
rapist
dreams.
over here, and you
And
telling
melty
her
balls,
to
you
go
know.
back.
So let's move on
Let's
to
go on,
the
let's move
following
on.
trailer.
Before we get sued,
so
please.
okay, so you guys, what was your so overall you
liked it.
you all like it?
I'd say I liked it.
Okay, well the next after Planet Terror, the next thing is my favorite part of the movie. I think the best part of the movie, which is the trailers. which is an intermission. The first trailer is please.
Werewolf, women, werewolf, wait,
Werewolf Women of the
SS.
SS, which actually is
Say that again, faster.
Death by Temptation.
No. Which I actually is the only trailer I thought did not
Directed
capture
by
the
Rob Zombie.
that did not capture the Grindhouse feel.
I thought
I
it was
disagree.
horrible. I thought it was
I
horrible.
disagree with you because I'll tell you why I disagree with you. The reason that those films, which the movie that it's trying to capture is Elsa, She-Wolf of the SS, is that the film,
Among other things.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah.
Is that the reason that those films were so much fun and sleazy that they took themselves very seriously. Rob Zombie is in on the joke and is intentionally making it campy, and he overdoes it, which ruins the overall effect. I did enjoy some of the celebrity cameo, which we will not name because if you haven't seen it, it's a nice surprise. But I thought
But it was kind of hyped up. It's not like it's a surprise.
I didn't know that.
I was surprised.
I didn't know that he was in it.
didn't
I didn't
know?
know he was in it.
Yeah,
I
it
knew
was
he was
pretty
in it,
hyped
but I was
up.
surprised at the cameo itself.
I didn't know he was in it, but that's why I thought it didn't capture it because Rob Zombie is intentionally putting humor in it. If he would have taken it more seriously, it would have been more funny.
I so disagree because he does completely show what those Ilsa movies were like. I mean, 1 minute you have Sherry Moon Zombie like slapping the women in the shower, and then she's like singing cabaret style. The two things that I thought were jokey was the two women in the arm of the werewolf, and he was just shooting, and they replayed the loop, and then Nicolas Cage's little cameo.
And a mad sign, but the whole thing
But
was
like Udo Kier as like the Nazi that's like
They
yelling
camp it
about.
up too much, though. That's the thing. They're camping
Well, see,
it
where
up.
I agree with I mean, we had this discussion off the camera. It wasn't like I didn't like his trailer. I just thought that of all the trailers, it didn't feel like a real movie. It felt like a put on.
Yeah, it was like a stage.
It felt like
joke.
it was
But
like a
it's
gag
not
out of
that
Kentucky
jokey,
Fried Movie.
it's
It
not
is.
that- no,
Yes, it
I
is.
just
You have
saw
yes,
it last night.
I
It's
just
not
saw it
that
too. You have
jokey.
Bill Moseley going ha 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 with the mad scientist in the
people.
door. Whoa!
That doesn't matter.
Elsa is taken seriously, but the thing is this is what and it's so they take it so seriously is that it becomes camp.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie intentionally camps it up. That's why it doesn't work.
It didn't even look like a period
No,
film.
it did
It didn't
not.
look like, there was none of that. It just felt like
It
it felt like there was no life before the scenes that we see, the little snippets or after. It just felt like this is the gag, this is the gag, this is the gag. And that's it. It didn't feel like a real movie.
And I didn't think it was well thought out. I mean, the other trailers, which we'll get into in a second, I thought that you could tell the directors actually storyboarded them and thought about them really, really tightly. Like, okay, this will be funny, this will be funny, this is good, and they did it. I just feel like Rob Zombie went in there and goes, okay, let's just improvise. And I didn't feel it was
my
planned.
only complaint about the trailer is it was cut very, very quick. So it was hard getting an idea of exactly what you were looking. That's my only complaint. Otherwise, I think it summed up the Ilsa series fantastically and bigly even. And
Just let the word go.
I enjoyed Bigly for Kevin Smith.
By the way, I'll tell you the word, Jeff. It's epic, which actually I think you'll want to use so Mike can't get on you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's get into the next trailer, which I'm going to give to Eric here because I know, Eric, it was your favorite trailer of the bunch.
And mine too.
Which was Don't.
Don't was the best one. Edgar Wright's trailer. It was awesome. It's the shortest one, and that's the one trailer I saw where it's like, I want to see that movie. That's the one I want to see.
Edgar Wright, who did Hot Fuzz.
Did Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead,
Right.
and
I see a long career for him in Hollywood.
and it's just it's very quick, it's
And the
very
thing
short,
is,
and
it's
it
not
nails
funny.
that whole thing.
It's not funny. I mean, it's not a funny. This guy's known for making really spot-on comedies, and the trailer's not funny except for the don't. That's funny.
But
But
that's the funny.
But what
though.
you see of the footage, it's like, wow, that doesn't look funny. That looks really good.
Do you see? That's what I was talking about with that, a wolf, the werewolf
Right.
one earlier. Is that he takes it seriously and it's funny. He makes it funny.
But I
by-
didn't think it was funny.
It
I
is
thought
funny.
it looked really cool.
I was crying laughing. Don't. It worked
But the
perfectly.
don'ts, I think, were funny. But the footage that you saw didn't look funny. It looked good.
Yeah, but what made it a joke, what made it funny, was that juxtapositioning of the don't against
Right,
that
exactly.
like serious footage. But that was the funniest trailer. I mean, that was the one that
I
got the most
it
laughs.
just
Second
looked good
funniest,
because
but I
of
liked
that.
it.
It just looked good.
It's my second favorite trailer. I think I think the thing too I love the homages to the old British horror films like Legend of Hell House,
yeah.
which actually I love the little setup. The actual shot is actually matched up exactly right with the wigs and everything.
Oh, and the gate.
And I love how nobody in the trailer, in the movie, the actors talk because they tried to hide the fact it was British. That's what they would usually do in these 70s films. They would not have the actors speak because they didn't want people to know it was a British film. They would just have the narrator speak in, the American accent. I thought it was a very good trailer. In fact, the second best. The next trailer, which I'm surprised, I actually thought was the best, and it's actually probably the best work, which I think you'll all agree, the best work by the director who we're not too keen on here, which is Eli Roth, which is for Thanksgiving. And I thought it did a phenomenal. I think this trailer captured the Grindhouse experience better than any other piece of the movie. I felt it's a throwback to the slasher films from the early '80s, late '70s, like Halloween era. And I thought it was very, very funny, and even the narration was dead perfect.
Oh yeah, I thought it was very well done. I thought it captured that period look and everything, the whole look of the film. I would say the reason why it's my second favorite, not my first, is that it almost veers into the Rob Zombie territory of like sort of being a goof more than being like a real film.
I agree.
Because it goes on and on and on, with him masturbating to turkey and stuff like that. Okay, we get it.
I can kind of agree.
And just having like the nerd guy throw up. I mean, that was like one of the worst vomit scenes I ever saw. I mean, it looked like he chewed up saltines and just spit them out.
That's a homage to an old film which I know called Happy Birthday to Me, which is almost exactly the same. So that's kind of a gag for people who saw that.
Yeah,
film.
with the chick from Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah, and where she finds all of her friends dead at a table, and then she's like. Starts,
which has a great twist ending for a slasher.
Well, yeah, which it was made up at the last minute.
But
they said that they went on the set and they changed the script the day of the shoot.
But I think it's it's Eli Roth's best movie.
I agree. That's
the sad part.
I think it's okay. It wasn't my favorite.
So since we are the trailers, name your favorite trailers in order, please. What was your favorite? Was Don't, and then followed by what was your
Thanksgiving.
And then you would say Machete, then
Machete, and then Rob Zombie. But I like them all. I mean,
What about you, Jeff?
I'd go with Thanksgiving #1, #2 Machete, then Don't, and Rob Zombie
really?
last.
Why would you put Don't third and not second or first?
Maybe because I didn't study it as much as you guys. I was just focusing on the Don't joke, and I really didn't pay attention to any of the other nuances of the trailer that much.
I love Don't, and after that they all blended in. Let's get to the next one.
Okay.
Obviously, the movie you want to talk about.
Oh yes.
All right. Well, after the Thanksgiving, which I thought was the highlight of the film, we enter into Tarantino's segment, which is called Death Proof.
Death Proof.
With Kurt Russell in a phenomenal performance. It's good to see him back in a movie again, playing a role that was just, I think, crafted out of stone perfectly in his image. The problem with the film for me is it goes on too long, so I'm gonna go. Who liked it here? Because I want to.
I loved it.
Let's have you go here, because I'm gonna.
Okay.
Fight you on.
Well, I find it interesting that you say that you found it too long, considering there's an even longer version of it.
Yes.
Holy shit.
Which I am dreading.
Yes.
Holy shit.
Which is over 2 hours
long.
long.
Oh my
But
God.
I don't know. I enjoyed the film. Like you said, I think it's mainly for the Kurt Russell performance. But what I find interesting is that he gives such a good performance, but then it seems like the second half of the film kind of lets him down because it's less about him and more about, I guess, the victims and them taking, him down. But I don't understand. I guess I liked the film, but I didn't understand the second half of the film, how he's this total badass.
I'll explain that to you.
Yeah,
My friend came up with a very fascinating concept because I got into a debate about him with this, and actually he came up with the best analogy I've heard for this and actually made it sense to me.
Okay, because I'm like, the first half, he's badass, nothing can take him down. Then the second half, it's like he's almost whimpering, running away from these girls.
He's like a coward.
Exactly, and I'm just like, what happened?
Well, let me tell you what. Let me explain because I'll
make
let you guys
it
get
quick.
Here, but let me do it. Listen, no, it's a very actually. I don't like the movie at all. Nothing's going to change my mind about this, but it was a fascinating argument. I was very interested in it. My friend was like, the first half of the movie that happened was actually the second half. That he's a kind of like he's a guy like a ghostly character. Because we think the second half actually happened first, where he was beat up by these girls, trying to pick them up, and then he became a killer and became revenge.
Well,
but where did he get that?
Yeah, I mean that's
because if you go into the there's a scene where the girls are playing the music in the bar and dancing, he's playing the same music in his car as he's actually approaching there on his radio.
But
he's
that
like, he
doesn't-
thinks he's a ghostly spirit, like a spirit. I mean, he came up with some interesting analogies. You know?
I think.
But I mean, there's not.
don't see
it was interesting. No, I mean, if you watch the movie,
he wasn't
he did it.
killed.
He did it little by little.
He wasn't killed in the movie.
No. You see them watch. There's a thing like he's in the hospital or something.
Yeah, and he's talking to the sheriff, or talking to the.
I
actually
don't know.
the-
I would
the
make an
sheriff.
argument. I
cops.
didn't dislike as much as you did. I think it's a flaw. I think it's an interesting piece from Tarantino. I agree with my friend Mike's. Ooh, we're wrapping up soon.
Holy shit!
I liked it
Damn,
okay.
I guess Mike, say your
Someone
really
else
quick
talk.
thing of Death Proof.
That was
Okay, what I liked. They showed Shiner Bock, which is a beer out of Texas, very good. They went to Huero's, one of the third best places to eat Mexican food in the United States. And Kurt Russell at the beginning was very, very good. Him eating the nachos and going.
A part that was originally for Mickey Rourke.
Yes, who wouldn't pick up the phone. What I find, other than that, this movie was so fucking awful that I wanted to take the disc that I had it on bootleg and throw it out the fucking window. What's with all the talking and the talking and the talking?
And everybody
the
talks
talking?
like Quentin
And
Tarantino.
everybody talks like Quentin Tarantino.
Right.
Everybody.
I felt there was 5 Tarantinos in a room talking to each
And it's
other.
like, you know, it's like, okay, we get it. You sound like him and Sarah Jessica Parker sound the same. They have this like short, deliberate clip dialogue, and we get it. You love blaxploitation, Quentin. You love it. You know, everybody's got to
Actually,
say
that's not-
mofo this
This
and
it's actually
and this
homage
and,
to the old car, the dirty. You
no,
know, car
listen
crash,
to
the good old
listen to the
films.
woman. And you know something? Those 4 women, including Zoe Bell, I wanted Stuntman Mike to kill them all. I wanted, he makes the women so hateable in this film. And then, why didn't they end it after they kick him in the face or whatever, and then they all jump in the air? Why didn't they go, these happy days are yours and mine, happy days? That's how they should have ended it, because it was so fucking ridiculous.
It's actually, I think, the worst film Tarantino's ever done, and I like Tarantino's films, but this one I couldn't
Pulp
stand
Fiction
it.
and Reservoir Dogs are classics, I will give him. And he's a very smart guy. He's got a huge head for knowledge, but this thing is fucking garbage.
Eric, go ahead, because we only got like less than.
I liked it okay. I think it was like just a one big joke on Tarantino's part. I think that was his punchline at the end there. I think it wasn't just about the car culture movies. I think it was also about, like, you know, Last House on the Left. You know, women who get destroyed by Psycho, and then people come back later and getting to come up with some of the guys who did it in the first half of the film. He was fusing those sorts of genres. I thought
And
that was
Rosario Dawson was fucking annoying, and I love her.
All right,
She's fucking
everybody.
I like the
We have to go, but we thank you for tuning in. The debate will continue after the credits. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next
I don't
week.
think there's
Thanks,
really much
Quentin,
of
for
a debate. I
ruining
think
my
we all
hour.
I didn't hate as much as you
I
guys did, but
despise the
I
entire
agree. I think it's good.
experience.
And the thing that, like, really I would have wanted to say on the show was, like, I can't see how they're gonna, like, release the 2 films individually in Europe, because this really works together. You release it separately, these won't be able to stand on their
Well,
own.
on all those those
Death
missing
Proof
reels were
definitely
terrible.
won't be able to stand
Those
on its
missing
own.
reel things too were so annoying.
Yeah, it just got to be an old
ugh.
joke. I mean, what I
think
did
they're
like
gonna
about
put the
Tarantino,
footage
this is where I
back
give
in.
Tarantino props, and it's the only real, like, good thing. At least he tried to do something